shoulder, sees Shane Walk making a run. He still hasn't let Surround go. She's a half length to Shane Walk. Ashbar pulling out from Grand Supreme. Now Trevina shakes Surround up. She's shot away 2 in front. In second place, Shane Walk, and then Ashbar. But here it is, 10 in a row. What can you say about the Carpet Kid Surround? She's walked in. 3 lengths in front now. Ashbar and Shane Walk battle it out for the minors.
Throughout the history of thoroughbred horse racing, there are many examples of the bond between a horse and a jockey, but none stronger than the bond between Alan Trevina and the great Surround.
See, I had an added advantage too. Before Surround came on, I rode a lot of horses that turned out to be champions. So I had a bit of a feeling what an extra special horse was like. So once you get that feeling, it is just another thing you cannot describe to anybody. I've never ridden one like. I've ridden some very good horses since Surround. I rode very good horses before Surround, even champion horses, but she was extra special to me because she was my horse.
Now Trevina says go. The filly moves up to the mare. Surround put her head in front, and here it is. 9 in a row now for Surround. She's coming away, and the mighty filly won at 1.25 lengths to how now. 2.5.
The story started when Jeff Murphy, that astute judge of horseflesh, spotted Surround as a weanling at Patrick Hogan's Cambridge stud in New Zealand.
So let's go out in the paddock and look at the weanlings. So we looked at a few, and I said, what's that grey one over there? And he said, you don't want it, it's back at its knees and this and that. And so I said, I like it. So we walked over and I said, I'll take it. He said, Bart was here yesterday, he didn't like it. But I said, if Bart liked it, I like it. And so next year I went back and she'd grown and lovely filly, and so just throw her straight in the plane if you don't mind. And it turned out to be Surround, so it was a good selection.
When she first started, she didn't really impress me as much better than just a horse. And I remember a nice little grey filly that was a little bit immature. Used to ride a track work every morning and didn't think anything special of her.
Alan remembers his first win on Surround.
It was a 900-metre race. She drew barrier 17, extreme outside of the field. She began very, very quickly, and inside 1 furlong, she's on the fence and leading, and she won very, very comfortably. She was sort of an immature little filly that showed a bit of potential. Like she had one at Caulfield, and Sandown win, a bit disappointing, but she was probably a little bit shin sore or something on the day when Trixie Lass, I think, just beat her. She just beat Trixie Lass, and I was very disappointed in the run because I thought she'd win by 100 yards. And she had to really fight to win, and she won. So Jeff's got to have to take immature type horses to Queensland because over the winter it just works wonders on them.
Then Murphy brought her back and gave her that now well-documented barrier trial at Cranbourne.
Before that barrier trial, we had another filly in the stable called Savoir. And Savoir was probably the unluckiest 3-year-old, been around for a long, long time because she had Surround as a stablemate. But on that particular day, I rode Savoir in an earlier trial, and she trialled particularly well and won the trial. And then the following trial, I rode Surround, and like I said, I just thought she was a handy filly, good filly. And never, ever in my life, anywhere even till today, have I ever rode a horse that has won anything any easier. She just stepped out. She never got out of first gear. She won the barrier trial in unbelievably easy fashion, and all of a sudden I woke. There's something special underneath me.
After that trial, she won at Moonee Valley before lining up in the Ascot Vale Stakes against the country's best 3-year-olds. Does Jeff Murphy recall at what odds Surround started that day?
Yes, I do. She was 12 to 1. Because I remember saying to Higgins, he rode Cummings as he was 7 to 4 on, walking around the mounting yard, and I said, hey, come here. So what? I said, have a good look at her backside because that's all you'll see of it. And he goes, you're just smart, mate. And that's what exactly happened. That's all he ever did see of it too.
At her next start, she took on the Colts again in the Moonee Valley Stakes.
Remember it very well. Moonee Valley Stakes was run at Sandown Park that year. But Savoir, as I said before, she was very unlucky. Savoir was an exceptionally good filly. But Surround was just far superior, and it was just, at no stage of the race was Surround ever going to lose.
He's racing now. Jumped away in a pretty good line. Great Lover, one of the first out with Romantic Dream and Chester Bellotta. Bernard now heading them all off, racing around the outside of the field as they settle down into stride. A great battle up the hill. Bernard ridden for dear life, led from Unaware and
I was
Ecuador.
happy to run in the Caulfield Guineas.
Blockbuster is up
I'm
with
a bit sorry she wasn't in the Derby. But in the Caulfield Guineas, I remember Savoir Surround cut back a fair way in the race. As we're coming towards the home turn, I remember, I think I was running 6th or 7th or 8th, you know, I was back sort of midfield or worse. And just up in front of me, the horse called Family of Man. It was a very good horse. And two things went through my mind in the Caulfield Guineas. One was as we came round the home turn and the old Guineas stand there at Caulfield, I heard over the course broadcasters, which you can hear in races, most jockeys can tell you do hear odd things, and I heard the course broadcaster say, "And here comes Family of Man." And a thought went through my mind, which I'll never forget, you better have a look about 2 lengths behind him, because I've got him well beat.
On the turn now with 400 to go. And the leader, Bernard. On the outside, Wise Drawer, and here's Family of Man moving up to grab them in a stride. Family of Man dash to the lead, Surrounds out after it quickly. They're followed by Unaware. Romantic Dreams not in the race. At the 200, Surround and Family of Man are the two leaders. The filly's taken the lead, Surround. Unaware's battling on from Great Lover, but this mighty filly Surround striding away from them, and Surround's going to win the Caulfield Guineas by 2.5 lengths. Family of Man second.
And then the premier weight for age race of Australasia, the WS Cox Plate. But a sad note, as for the first time, Trevena was separated from the filly because he couldn't make the weight. Peter Cook got the ride.
I'll never forget it, because I know Peter pretty well, we're good friends. And just before the race, Peter was watching a race in Sydney, and one of the horses he was riding had just won. He said, "Oh God, I should have been over there, riding that." And I said, "No, you win the Cox Plate on this filly." Well, no filly in history had ever won the Cox Plate, and still hasn't to this day. And that particular day, she did win the Cox Plate. She did run a race record. I was extremely proud of her, and something no other horse is ever going to do. They might have broke a record, but they'll never run it on a total eclipse of the sun.
Racing now. Jumped away very well. Great Lover, one of the first out with Unaware and Northbridge Lad, and perhaps being ridden early with the whip. Surround began brilliantly and is going to head them all off and go to the rails.
No man alive today or ever could have rode her a better race than Peter Cook. Absolutely brilliant ride. I mentioned to Peter before the race that you think she's asleep in the barrier, but don't take notice of that, because you just touch her, she'll begin, but just sit there, think she's asleep, she'll begin first. She always did. Brilliant out of the boxes. I said, and when you want her to go, don't have to hit her with the whip, just pull the whip on and show it to her. And that's all you have to do. And I think if I remember rightly, about 500 metres from home, the Cox Plate, she's making ground on the fence. Peter is running up on the rails, terrific ride. Pulled the whip on and showed her the whip, ping out, she went outside the leader home.
Up the side with 600 metres to go. It's Unaware, a half to Elton, a half to Purple Patch. One to Surround on the fence, a half Tara's Bulba. He's gone. How now commencing her run, and then perhaps followed behind those horses then on the inside by Northbridge Lad from Better Draw. Unaware booted away at the 400. 2 lengths to Surround out after him. It's coming at him quickly, and they were followed by Purple Patch, and next is How Now. Surround raced to Unaware. The 3-year-olds look to have it between them from Better Draw. Surround put her head in front as they straightened from Unaware under the whip, and then Better Draw, How Now and Kiwi Can. But Surround, the mighty champion, is striding right away, and Surround's won it by 3 lengths.
Surround made it 8 wins on end, with a win in the VRC Oaks at her next start.
Around them to take the lead, and Savoir led at the 400 from Snow Mist and Red Rebecca. Then came Surround going out after it from In Pursuit, and off 2 Cities running on well. It's Savoir at the 200, a length and a half to Surround, who's under pressure. Then came off 2 Cities. It's Savoir tackled by Surround. She might still be too good. Surround moved up the stablemates together. Surround has taken the lead. And this mighty filly's got her 8th win in succession, staring at her. And Surround comes away to win 2.5 lengths to Savoir.
She was then spelled in preparation for the autumn of 77. She made it 10 wins on end, with her first up win in the CF4 and then the Blamey Stakes. Her amazing sequence of wins ended like this.
Her winning run has ended. Bonfield shot away from Surround and Bold Mayo and then Toy Show. And Bonfield's going on to win 1.5 lengths to Surround.
Alan didn't ride her well. He didn't, he rode it badly, and he was starting to get a bit, not for, but getting the jitters a bit about it getting beaten. He said, "Oh, I hope it doesn't get beaten." I said, "It won't get beaten, just, and he was starting to lose a bit of confidence, and because that day he rode it shocking, and because she didn't win.
To the Oh, I rode around a perfect race in the Pachuri. But in my mind, I reckon I rode a terrible race. Now, Bonfield came from last, a very ordinary horse, Bonfield, a handy horse, Bonfield, not ordinary, handy horse. He come round the field, Mick Gorham rode him, come round the field from last and killed me. Now, if it had been surrounded 25 to 1 chance in the Pachuri Stakes, I wouldn't have been riding him in the box seat. I wouldn't have been running third or whatever it was, fourth, sitting there and like having him ready to win, straight him home. I would have been second last. I think it was only about 9 runners, something in the race. I would have been 8th, just in front of Bonfield. I might have been 9th, following. As he went round the field, I would have went round with him, and I've got no doubt in my mind, Surround would have won the Futurity Stakes. But the pressure had got to all of us that I was afraid to ride her what people thought was a bad race, but which I knew, and only I knew, would have been the way to ride her. But he cowards way out.
After a 4th in the Australian Cup, she dead heated in the Alistair Clark Stakes at Moonee Valley and then headed to Sydney for the AJC Oaks. In her lead-up race, the Champion Stakes, she got more than she bargained for.
You know, they did deal with her there. They knocked her from one side of the track to the other and just pulled the thing. She came in, honestly, and she was shivering and shaking her. So that's how much buffeting she got.
Different and somewhat arrogant tactics were then employed for the AJC Oaks.
Just pull her right back near last. When you get the half mile, just go right around the lot. And Quinton and all them had turned their heads looking where she was. And by the time they found her, she'd gone past them.
Her final campaign as a 3-year-old was in Brisbane, where she won the Queensland Oaks and the Grand Prix Stakes. Surround raced 4 times as a 4-year-old before injuring a tendon and being retired to stud.
I think it's the best horse I've ever had and probably the best I've ever likely to get. And, you know, I won a lot of money on her and, you know, because we were very confident those days. You know, when you thought you could win, you just bet accordingly.
She's such a beautiful horse. If you could cook, you'd marry her. Ah, there'll never be another one like her. No, these days they drop the tag of champion on so many horses. I've seen horses, I haven't read the paper about up here on the farm, and people say, oh, as good as Surround. Yeah, that's all I ever say. Yeah, as good as Surround. She won 10 straight, she beat the Colts and Gelding. She's still only 3 to 1 Cox Plate. To me, she's always going to be something extra special to me, and oh gee, I loved it. But, you know, all good things come to an end.
Now Trevina shakes around up. She shot away 2 in front.